I always wanted to be a dad. I always wanted to have the opportunity to show my son or a child that, how much love that I have, and I wanted to just like pour it on him.
Everybody, welcome to this episode of Dadnormous. It's Jonscott, Turk. I'm here with Bidjamson Darius, and thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you coming on the show today. So the way we're going to jump in is I'll ask you to speak a little bit about who you are as a dad today.
Well, today, who am I? Right now, I am a husband and a dad to this wonderful, energetic son of mine. He's something else, you can say. He brings out the best in me. I am a husband to my wife for going about 4 or 5 years now of marriage. You can say we are best friends. I can honestly say the conversation that we have, the way we interact, the way we share each other's company, the way we enjoy each other's company is amazing. And I am so thrilled and happy to have someone like that in my life. It should definitely just propel me forward, even to currently with the podcast that I'm doing. If it wasn't because of her, it wasn't for her. Honestly, I don't even know where I would be right now, because she definitely just like literally keep pushing me and keep bringing me forward. Again, with my son, he's just a ball of energy.
He's 3, you said? 3 years old?
Yes, 3 years old. So he's a ball of energy. He's just turned 3. And right now he's on I know there's a terrible 2s. Right now he's in the horrible 3s. So everything is no. Everything cries for everything. I don't know why. Do you want something? No. Cries for it. I don't understand, but he brings out the best in me. He brings out qualities in me that I had yet to know that I have. And it's so great and so powerful to be a dad. And just the gift of being a dad for me is something that I cherish every day. And every time that I look at him, sometimes he looks at me, I just like, it takes me back to say, man, that's amazing. That's an amazing experience that I'm feeling right now. I'm praying and hoping that everybody's able to feel what I'm feeling right now, and that's what I try to draw out whenever I have conversation with other people. Just like, dadhood is amazing. Like, what are you doing that you're not enjoying it? And I'm not downplaying the struggles, and I'm not downplaying the difficulties. It comes with that, and you have to accept that. And I accept that before I became a dad. But once I became a dad in itself, oh man, it's an amazing trip. And every day is a blessing. Every day is just a journey. Walking with him, talking with him, seeing his development, the way his speech, he's potty trained now. He's just excelling. He's self-read. He's self-taught. He's an amazing child. Like, honestly, he's an amazing child. He knows alphabets, numbers, shapes, colors, everything. He's able to read books. 3 years old. I mean, I can go on and on. And that's how I feel about him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the momentum of being a dad, right? When you start talking about your kids, it's part of the reason why I have this forum now, this conversation with dads around the world, is because we have these conversations and they're usually squeezed into other, larger conversations or work conversations or other things. So I'm so happy that you're with us today to talk about this, and focus on this part of who you are. So when you talk about it, it's funny when you look at all the things he's doing now and how he's growing, and you have an opportunity to reflect on the last 3 years, or let's say 4 years back. And if you could go back and whisper in your own ear 4 years ago, when you first found out, what advice would you give yourself then that would have helped you in the last 3 years of being a dad, you think?
Man, oh, wow. What I would whisper in my ears is just that, one, it's going to be an amazing trip. That's one I can honestly say. It's going to be an amazing trip. But I think, even still today, I'm struggling with it. But I think I would, if I had a talk with myself,
Sure.
Back then, I would say, take it day by day. Honestly, take it day by day. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about 2 weeks from now. Don't worry about like a month from now. Don't worry about any of those stuff that's gonna happen, that have yet to happen. And that's one of my problems that I focus so much about. Well, tomorrow is not here, but I want to know. I need to prepare for it. You know, my son is not here yet, but I need to prepare for it. But what I would whisper in my ears is just say, don't worry about it. God will handle it. It will be okay. Because I'm so caught up in trying to make everything perfect, trying to make everything the way it needs to be so it won't fall out of line.
Right.
That I don't enjoy the moment at times. So I would whisper in my ears and say, look, take it easy. You will be okay. Enjoy the time that you have with your son. Enjoy the time that you have with your wife. Because once that day is over, you can't take it back. Once it's done, you can't go back and say, oh, I wish I had. No, we don't want to go by wish. We want to go by, okay, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to enjoy today and love today. When tomorrow comes, I can deal with tomorrow.
Sure.
But I can't deal with it if it hasn't come yet. You know, I've worried about it so much. And, you know, I have that conversation with my wife. She was like, take it easy, relax. It's okay. I understand you want us to be okay. But right now, let's just enjoy each other's company. Let's just enjoy the time that we have without worrying too much about what tomorrow will bring.
That's great. It's, you know, being present is really a gift that we can give to our kids and ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
our families, of course. And if you think about that, and I appreciate you sharing that, if you think about it going back to that time 4 years ago, could you share with us where you were in your life, like, and where that news that you first, when you first found out you were going to be a dad, like, how did that hit you? What were your thoughts?
Oh, I actually have a video. My wife recorded it, and I came from work, and she surprised me. So when she told me that she was pregnant, I was stunned, like stunned. So my mind frame was at what my mind frame was at was like I was working. I mean, it was since it was just my wife and I
Sure.
would do overtime. You know, I come home late. It was just only us, so I didn't have to worry about anything else. So I came home one day. I'm sorry, just to go back a little bit. So my wife and I, we were on a point where we just like we would enjoy each other's company. We were enjoying marriage, to tell the truth. It was just the two of us. We were traveling a lot. We go places. We pretty much was doing what we wanted to do. We were living the life. We were happy. We had our own little studio apartment. We were okay. We were great. We were great. And then we talked about possibly bringing somebody else into the world, having a child. And it was just a conversation. And so that one day I came home and she just decided to just like, okay, she told me, and I was just stunned. I was like, "You joking, right?" She was like, "No, I read a card she bought me," and I was just like, it's not for me, right?" Because at that point, during that time frame, my siblings had kids. I had nieces and nephews; they were born. So I was just like, "Okay, is there another Darius that's having another child?" She was like, "No, it's you. You're the one having another child." So I was just stunned and shook because I always wanted to be a dad. I always wanted to have the opportunity to show my son or child that, how much love that I have, and I wanted to just like pour it on him, pour it on any one of them. I was so excited, but I was scared at the same time because now it's just like, it's not just me and her anymore. It's me, her, and another child. And it was scary, but it was exciting at the same time. So when I heard the news, it was exciting. It was scary at the same time. It was a moment that I was speechless. I couldn't really say anything. I was kind of scared. I was like, oh my God, like adulthood now is a whole different level. Adulthood is a whole different level now. It's a different understanding. It's a different like sacrifice that I had to make. But at that point, I just was, like I was telling you before, I was in the moment. I was just like, it was just her and I, was just like embracing each other's company and saying, this is really happening.
Well, and it's, those moments, and you have it on video, which is even better. But those moments are important to keep top of mind, like that excitement and that just wonder, like, and there's a bit of fear, maybe too strong a word, but there's a bit of like, oh, wow, like this is real now. And it's interesting because when we think about it, and I say this to friends all the time, like enjoy every moment.
Right.
Like, and when things are chaotic, and I have a few friends who have a couple of kids very close together, and they're like, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and it's just all kinds of energy, obviously. And they'll sometimes text me, and I'll call and they won't answer. And they'll text me and say, in the middle of 9,000 things, and you told me to enjoy this, right? And I write back, absolutely. I promise you, it's fascinating. My kids are in their 20s now. They finished university. And I remember when it transitioned, and no one warned you about this transition, but all of a sudden it just gets super quiet. And it's a very interesting evolution as a dad, going from a dad of a newborn, as you've been, dad of a 3-year-old, which you're full contact in right now. And then you're going to blink and they're going to be in school full time, full days of school. And then all of a sudden it's a constant evolution, and it's really exciting to meet them every day as the person they are and they're becoming. It's really fascinating. I remember the first time I had this conversation with my kids, and I was like, how's it going? And my son was a baby. He was probably your son's age. And he's like, how was your day? And I'm like, it was a good day. It was just such a funny thing to see coming out of this 3-year-old. And if you think about your son now at 3 and all the different energy and all the different excitement and firsts and learning that he's going through, and how much of a sponge he is and taking things in, if you can project yourself into the future, and I like to just go 10 years and say it's 2030 and he's 13, he's getting ready to finish up 8th grade, getting ready for high school. And he was to look back on this video. I'd love for you to think about how do you feel being his dad now? If he's watching it and you're speaking to him in 10 years as he's watching this video, what would you say to him about how you feel today as his dad?
Oh man, I love your questions. I love your questions. For 10 years from now, talking to my son. So real briefly, my wife and I, we are very intentional about a lot of things. Intentional because there's the reason why we do certain things. So a few years back, before he was born, my son, my wife and I set up an email address for him. Right? We set an email address for him and used it as more of a diary. So before he was born, we document certain things.
Great idea.
It's fabulous. So long story short, so we set an email for him. So now we've pretty much documented certain things. So there are a few ways, I think it's 2 or 3 ways we are documenting for him. 1 is the email, right? 2, my podcast. And 3, what we do is we have we call it Darius Destination. So what happens, I was telling you before, when my wife and I traveled, it was her and I. So now it's her and I and my son. Now we travel the world, we go to different places, and we document that. We put that on YouTube. So we document that. So these are the ways we're doing that. So in 10 years, I want him to look back and say, man, my dad was cool, or he was amazing, or he was accomplishing. He was accomplishing things. He was doing things. And that's my mindset. I know before I was just I'm so worried about the future. I'm so worried about what's going to happen tomorrow.
Sure.
But those are the things that I try to project for the future, because I didn't have a lot of examples at growing up.
Okay.
I have good examples at times. So I mentally told myself, I need to be an example for my son for the future. So I want him to see that not only that I was able to do these things, yes, it was struggle, yes, it was a problem, but to see that and see that I accomplish it and see that I'm still going, I'm still growing. Just like he's growing, I'm still growing. I'm growing mentally, I'm growing physically, I'm growing with him. I'm not stagnant. So every move that I make is progress. It may be a struggle, it may be difficult, but it's a progress. You got to keep moving. I want him to understand and see that dad struggled. Dad went through some stuff, because I saw it in the email, I saw the stuff that he did, but he continued moving forward. Because if I'm able to do it, dad is able to do it, then he's able to do it as well. I want to set that foundation for him for where when he enter a difficult situation, he's not giving up. He can reflect on what I've done and say, okay, man, dad has been doing this, or he is doing this. I can continue too. I don't have to stay down if I fall. I gotta keep going, getting back up, so I can keep moving forward.
Absolutely. I think one of the greatest lessons we could ever teach our kids as dads and as parents, obviously, is resilience and the ability to experience failure and setback, learn from it, dust yourself off, and keep going. So I think that's a tremendous, tremendous gift, and thank you for sharing that. And I'm not going to let you off the hook with my question. So if he's watching this in 10 years and you're speaking to him and say, what's your son's name?
Elias.
Elias. So Elias, so it's 2020, it's July of 2020. And Dad's going to share with you how he is experiencing being your dad now. And you're speaking to Elias. What would you say to him if he's looking at this in 10 years? Let's say 20 years.
20 years.
Graduated from college. And he's looking at this video and he wants to know, like, what was going on? You know, I heard about this 2020. It was a unique year. Let's hope. And what was going on? How would you express to him directly how you feeling as his dad now?
As his dad, as his dad right now, Elias, I want you to just like, first of all, focus. Focus, okay? But I want you to know that right now, currently right now, in the state that I am right now, I'm in a constant state of growing and developing. And I want to know that I want you to know that at the age that you are right now, I am so proud of who you have become. I am so proud of you. You have no idea. My mind frame right now for you is just like, I want to do better for you. I want you to do more. I want you to continue doing more. I want you to do everything in your power and more, because that's what I'm trying to do. I want you to know that nothing can stop you. Once you put your mind at whatever you want to do, you can accomplish it. Right now, I'm looking at you 3 years old, and you're able to read books at 3 years old. But I don't want that to just like, I don't want you to stop there. I want you to continue growing. I want you to continue propelling forward. I want you to exceed your own expectations, not only my expectation, your own expectation. Set goals for yourself where you can always accomplish. If it's difficult, continue moving forward. Your mom and I, we will fight for you. I am proud of you. I'm happy that you are the person that you are. I am proud to call myself a dad, your dad, because you are an amazing child. You made parenting very easy and very rewarding. Honestly, everybody that you come around, you touch, you probably realize that already. No matter where you go, you always touch someone's life. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't need to know, but you've always been touching someone's life. You're always doing something great, and you will always be great, and I will always, always, always be proud of you. I love you.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you for sharing that. And that's what I was trying to go for, and I really appreciate you sharing that. And it's a powerful place to go to. You know, it really is, as a dad. And I have been speaking in the conversations I've been having about this. It's always a really fascinating conversation point to think and project, because, you know, we have this struggle between presence, being here and experiencing all that now has to offer, and also, you know, as I like to say, you know, handling things. You brought up something earlier, which was funny. You talked about how you used to go ahead and you had to kind of bring yourself back to the moment and experience now. And as you look now and what you're hoping for, is there anything that you look back on from your childhood that you learned that you're making sure your son either takes a different understanding about or reinforces what you learned? And I'm sure there's examples of both, but you can share whichever you wish.
My upbringing was a little tough. It was hard. And that's probably why I'm so like focused on the future and making sure my future is the way it needs to be. It was the 6 of us growing up. You know, my mom had 6 of us. My father wasn't so much around. So everything was difficult for us. Everything was hard. Everything was, I wasn't a problem. It was just like, we had to, I know I said this a couple of times in the podcast, that we had to grow up faster than other kids had to. Okay. We had to learn how to adapt faster than some other kids had to. So one of the things that I've learned, and my wife and I continue moving forward with that, is I was one of those kids where we didn't have food to eat. In order to have food to eat, we would have to go to either a summer school program, or we would have to go someone that we know or a friend of mine so we can hang out to get some food. So we didn't have that. So I remember one time we had to go to a summer program and go early enough so we can have breakfast to eat because we didn't have breakfast at home. So I told myself, when I have a child, when I have a child, whenever I'm able to send him to school, when he's going to school for high school, when he's going to grade school and all that stuff, I would send him with extra food in his bag. I would send him with extra water, extra sandwiches, extra food. So if he sees anybody that's by themselves or don't have any food, it is your responsibility to help somebody else out. Because all I do right now, all I've been doing, all my wife and I have been doing is helping each other out, help other people out. So it was hard for me as when I was growing up. So the lesson that I learned was just that there's always somebody that you can help out. There's always someone that needs help. It may not seem that they're okay. We may seem like they're okay, but keep your eyes peeled because there's always someone that needs help. You never know. It's a simple hi and how you doing to someone can go so far. So don't ignore what's in front of you. And two, don't be oblivious to what's in front of you, you know? So I've went through it, and I don't want you to go through it, but I also want you to know and see these things that's around you. I don't want you to be oblivious to it. I don't want you to just be like nonchalant and just like move along. No, I want you to take it in and say, this person is not okay. Dad, what can I do?
What's important, you're raising him with a social conscience. And just as important, you're raising him with a social conscience that you want him to act on. Because like it's easier to be aware and just to go about your business, but to be aware and to take action is a really critical, it's a critical crossover because, you know, talk is cheap and we say this all the time. So acknowledging it, acting on it, making a difference. And I like to refer to the 7 kind of guideposts I work on with clients, which is positivity, authenticity, courage, action, joy, gratitude, and resilience. And action is so critical because literally nothing will happen. You can think all you want, you can see all you want, but unless you're going to take the risk and have the courage to take action, I think that's a critical lesson. I think it's a great lesson for your son to grow up with already. And I know that you'll continue, obviously, to do that as he goes through the different stages. And you go through the different stages of being his dad and get to meet him at 13, get to meet him at 16, get to meet him at 20. And it's a journey I'm super excited about for you. It's clear how impactful this experience is for you, and I'm sure for your wife. And as you look back on the last 3 years, is there something that if you could redo, you would take a chance and take a little different approach? Is there something that's present for you in that regard?
It may sound weird. I'm gonna say no.
That's fine.
I'm gonna say no, only because every experience that I have experienced, every experience that we went through, allowed me to be who I am today. If I didn't go through it, I would not be who I am today.
Okay.
Every experience, every hardship, and every excitement that I went through, it's shaped me for who I am today. There are so many things that I went through, so many things that we went through as a couple, as a marriage couple, just the two of us, and then transition that to parenthood.
Yeah.
That dynamic is so weird. It's different because I grew up a certain way, my wife grew up a certain way, and now we have parenting a child together. Now I have my own understanding of how to raise them, and she has her own understanding of how to raise them. So now it's more of like a battle. We had to like understand and sit back and say, okay, let's do this together. Not separate, but let's do it together. Because I have my own ways of doing things, and she has her own way. But let's find a way of doing it together. So all these things that we went through, even the hardship when my wife and I were going through disputes, where we didn't talk for a couple of hours or so, maybe a day, and I still had to lay down next to her. All that stuff. It shapes us. The communication that I have with my wife, it shapes us. The things that we do for other people, it shapes me. The hardship that I went through and see, okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it for tomorrow financially, and I'm able to. It shapes me for who I am. So now I'm able to build a a better character of myself and say, okay, you know what? These things are building me. It's actually encouraging me to do more. Don't be afraid of what I'm telling myself is don't be afraid of failing at time. Don't be afraid of just like things not going correct or not going right or going the way you want it to. Sometimes when it doesn't go your way, that's the best way. Because now you're so narrow-minded about what things need to be that you can't see anybody else's point of view. You can't see what needs to get done for somebody else's views. We have to have a way of understanding it full circle.
Sure.
I see it this way, you see it that way. But if we didn't have this conversation, if we didn't have to sit down and understand each other, we would not be who we are today. So all those things that I went through allow me to become who I am today and able to have a different mind frame that I had 2 or 3 years ago, a few months ago, a few weeks ago. It shapes me who I am because now I'm not running away from it. I'm absorbing it. I'm taking it in and say, okay, this doesn't feel good, but what can I learn from it?
Yeah, you're taking it as an opportunity to grow, which is critical. You know, there's a quote that I love and I speak about often. It's "The Man in the Arena" by Teddy Roosevelt. And it's a fantastic quote. And I love the last line. The whole thing is amazing. And I'll see if I can link it somewhere. Last lines are, you know, if you succeed, you know the triumph of success. And if you fail, at least you fail while daring greatly. So
Yes.
that place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that knew neither victory nor defeat. So that's why action and growth and perseverance is such a valuable lesson for us to learn as dads, because you know the challenges. I'm not going to surprise you when I tell you that you probably have a couple of more challenges as a dad coming up with your son, and also it informs our kids. I think we model this for our children, and I think failing and trying and persevering and picking yourself back up, there's really an extraordinary lesson to continue, and brings me to my next point, which is legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you talk about legacy, when you think about this legacy, and I'm going to ask you to zoom way out and imagine Elias with his own family and sharing the legacy of who Grandpa was, who Grandpa is. You know, it's 30 years from now, and he's talking about you and his childhood. Like, what legacy do you want him to really feel and be alive? And he's 33 years old. What legacy do you want him to really have present for him when he thinks about these times with you and the life you plan to have with him as his dad?
I'm building a legacy right now. I am molding a legacy right now, honestly. I'm seeing so many things around me, things that I need to do, things that I could do, things that I have to do. And I'm building it. And our goal, I say my goal and my wife's goal, collectively, our goal is to better ourselves so we can better our future for our kids or our kid right now. I don't know if there's another word yet. But I'm building. Here's the thing, it's not only for my son, it's for my niece, it's for my nephew, it's for my brother, it's for my sister, it's for my father, it's for my mom. Because again, I didn't have a lot of his examples. I didn't have all this stuff here. So I have to like physically do those things now. I have to do this accomplishment. There are goals that I am setting for myself. My wife and I are setting for ourselves because we see others are doing it. So why can't we do that?
Sure.
We see others are writing books, see people are doing podcasts, see people doing movies. Why can't we do that? Why do I limit myself saying that I can't do those things? One, either because of race, one, because of education. Second, maybe education. So it's because of mental limitations that we put on ourselves. So I'm building this every day. Wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm building those things. And I know I said as far as the podcast and the YouTube channel that we have, those are the things that he can reflect on.
Sure.
And understand and see, oh, my dad was able to do this. Oh, my dad went to Paris. He went to Belgium. He went to all these places. I can do this too. I am able to do this too. Dad can build an empire. He's building an empire. He has built an empire. I can do it too. And my grandchild can look at my kid look at me and say, oh, Grandpa done this, I want to do it too. That's where my mind frame is at. It's not because right now it's not me. It's because of others that are looking,
Right.
maybe possibly don't have an example, can use me as an example, use me as a vessel to propel you forward in your future. So I want my kids and my grandkids and even my great grandkids to reflect back and say, look, my grandpa and my great grandpa was an amazing. He was a writer. He wrote books. He did videos. He went this. Like it shouldn't be an end. It should be an endless possibilities because I've showed them that I was able to do it. I could do it. They could do it too.
Amazing. That's great. And it's a wild place to go, right? Mentally, like when you zoom out like that, it's like, you know, we're all here as a result of the legacy that came before us, and we carry that forward. And every generation gets to tweak it, sometimes bigger tweaks and smaller tweaks, and it's really a fun place, and it's a powerful place to visualize ourselves even beyond our own lives and what our families and our kids are going to remember and what they're going to carry forward and learn from. You know, I think that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And as we get ready to wrap up, is there anything that if a dad is watching this and whatever point they are in their life, and you're going to share something that you feel is meaningful, what would you share about being a dad with someone seeing this for the first time? And maybe they're expecting, maybe they have older kids and they're trying to remember what it was like when they were little. Anything you can think of.
Oh man, it's so weird to get that question.
Yeah, right. We're used to it.
Yeah, it's so weird to get this question thrown back at me. But there's so many levels. I think one big lesson that one of the big lessons that I've learned as a dad is, again, to take it easy. Like, take it easy. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to just be there. Honestly, just be there. We try so hard at times that we forget that just the simple things are the best things. Honestly, the simple things are the best thing, which is enjoy each other's company, enjoy your sons and daughters' company, enjoy that time. Just be a dad, be intentional, and that's one thing I'm going to advocate so much. Be intentional with everything that you do. You want to be loving, be intentional with that. You want to be kind, be intentional with that. It's action. Your action speaks louder, but live within that moment. Just live within that moment. Don't worry about what tomorrow brings. Don't worry about if you have enough money. Don't worry about you don't have the time for it. Just enjoy the moment, because again, once that moment is gone, once that day is gone, you cannot take it back. Fathers that are to be, take a step back and know that you have to grow. You have to evolve. You cannot be the same person when you were single. You can't be the same person when you were married, and you will be a different person when you become a dad. If you are not evolving as a person when you become a dad, it's going to become difficult. It's going to become very, very hard. So be intentional with these things. Be present all the time. It's going to be so you will enjoy the moment. You can look back and say, you know what? I didn't miss out on that. I was there. I enjoy myself. I enjoy my son growing up. I enjoy my daughter giving me a hug. I enjoy reading a book to them. I enjoy taking them out to the park and walking with them. I enjoy those things. I didn't miss out on those things. I partake on those things. And that's what it is. It's not about the money. It's not about the job. It's just literally your presence. Your presence matter. All they're going to reflect on when they get older is my dad was there for me. My dad was here for me. He spoke to me. We shared stories. He sat down and had tea with me. He took me on a date. He showed me how to be a man. He showed me how a husband should treat a wife. He loves my mom. All this stuff matters. Intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional. And I know I keep driving it. There's a reason for that, because we focus on too much about the unnecessary. The thing that's necessary right now is your child and you being present currently or in the future. All they need is just you. I've always said that because that's what I always wanted. All I wanted him was to be there. All I wanted him was I just wanted his presence. I felt his warmth next to me. That's all I wanted, because that stays longer in my head than anything else. The toys that he got me, the PlayStation and all that stuff, they're gone. They're not. I don't really care about that. But when he hugged me, it lasts forever. When he had a conversation with me, it lasts forever. I can reflect on that and say, my dad did this. He was there for me. He sat down with me. He talked to me. He embraced my presence. That's all it is. Simple.
Great. Thank you so much, Jensen. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'll put a link and I'll link to some other videos here. And I really appreciate your time, Jensen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.